Alright, everybody. So, if you've been online for any amount of time, and especially if you're a woman, especially so if you're a cis woman who's lived your whole life entirely presenting as a woman, chances are you have heard a million times the statistic that the majority of assaults, sexual assaults, and rape committed against women, primarily, are committed by somebody that the victim already knows, and it's not really like a Law and Order episode opening, like there's a woman walking down the street or down an alley and then all of a sudden she's jumped. Like, it happens, but it's not really common, and it's not the type of threat you should be more aware of. You should be more aware of the people you actually know being a potential threat, a potential snake in the grass, statistically speaking, right? However, despite that, this is a pretty disturbing sort of line of stories. You see, in New York City, there has been a torrent of women reporting that they have been punched in the face by just random men on the street. Like, literally just a random guy comes out of nowhere, sucker punches the woman for no reason, and then runs away before she can do anything about it. These stories really started getting a lot of traction a few days ago. I'll go ahead and play this bit, but it's been sort of getting even further exacerbated. You guys didn't know about this? I'm surprised you guys weren't aware of this, but yeah, we're like the NYC Woman Punchers are getting more infamous than ever, apparently.
The stories are harrowing.
I was literally just walking, and a man came up and punched me in the face. Oh my God, it hurts so bad.
College student Michaela Donato says she was just leaving class in Manhattan.
So I just got punched in the face walking home.
He hit me right on my cheekbone. This doesn't hurt as bad as the concussion does.
She says she didn't see it coming.
You've got some visible signs. You have the black eye, but Michaela, emotionally, how are you feeling?
You know for a fact this is not an apolitical string of acts, okay? They're not just some crazy guys or like dudes taking bets or some gang dudes just running around and punching women in the face. This is very clearly some sort of like incel trend. For all we know, there's some like deep buried, never heard of it incel message board or far right messaging board out there where they've made it like a point of pride or like an act of initiation, a rite of initiation, to film yourself or like picture yourself attacking a woman in the street and running away and then posting it on the forum to like get your sort of like, that is the kind of shit that some of these more like extreme forums will require. I'm talking about more extreme than 4chan, Kiwi Farms, maybe even 8chan when that was a thing. Like those are platforms with some pretty fucked up people on there, and they love to joke about and glorify this type of behavior. But there are some very extreme nothing message boards with like a few hundred, if not a few thousand viewers that like you've never heard of, where they have this type of thing as like a rite of initiation. Hell, there was that one guy who was famously pepper spraying women in order to please people on like one of those like right-wing streaming sites that went belly up a while ago. Who was that? Here, before we get even further into this story, I feel we should go back to like what I think is affiliated. I honestly feel like pepper spray is so fucking stupid. Like, I actually think pepper spray should be banned and guns should be what women carry instead. Because I have seen more stories of man pepper sprays woman before assaulting her. Way more stories of that than I have ever seen cases of pepper spray saving women's lives. It's far more effective when used against animals like bears, it would seem. Because, like, there are just countless examples of, like, women getting pepper sprayed before getting assaulted. It's, like, a man who wants to assault women's favorite thing. Like, it's not a deadly weapon, so if they get caught doing it and arrested, they're not going to get charged with the same thing as if they used a knife, a bat, or a gun. Because it's just, like, it's pepper spray. And so, like, for the same reason that women carry it for self-defense so they don't have to worry about killing someone, men who assault women use it because it makes it easier for them to do what they want to do. If anyone needs me, I'll be hiding under my bed for the rest of my life. Heavy Gretel, you should let me teach you how to shoot a gun, because within, like, a day, you will be like, all right, I'm going online. I'm going to research what gun I want. My mom was deathly terrified, anti-gun, did not like guns, horribly terrified of guns, would say, Alex, you have to turn off this video. It has guns in it. I'm going to vomit. Like that, uncomfortable around guns. And then I managed to like convince her to shoot a gun for the first time as part of like my birthday present last year. Now she is currently messaging me frantically whenever there's like a noise outside she doesn't like. Alex, I wish I hadn't left my gun at your house. I need a gun. I really don't feel safe without a gun. And it's like, yeah, once you've felt the like level of like security you have, knowing that you're not completely defenseless if someone broke into your house and wanted to kill you, like once you felt the security of knowing that you could actually save yourself and you wouldn't have to hide and call 911 and hope for the best, having that level of like security taken away, I feel would be traumatic. Yeah. She was in a hurry when flying back from here to California, so she didn't pack and fly with the gun on her way back. She brought it here just to shoot with at the range. So she left it here, and it's like, it's somewhere in this room. It's, I think, inside that case. So yeah, sounds a little paranoid. I mean, I don't think it's paranoid at all. To be honest, like women have it pretty rough statistically. Most women that you'll have met have been like groped or put in a situation that like if you saw it in a movie, you would be like on the edge of your seat, like she's gonna be okay, right? She's gonna be okay. She's not gonna get raped here, right? She's gonna get out, right? Like most women you have ever met, whether they tell you or not, have had a minimum scary fucking close encounter where they felt like they were going to be assaulted or raped. So I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that paranoid, to be honest. Here's a noise, calls cross country. Well, she doesn't call, she messages me. She texts me. And it's less so a noise and more so that it's a whole story. I'm not going to tell you guys like all the details, but she's got a little bit of a reason to be a little paranoid, but it's probably nothing. My political spectrum is fucked up. I've gone from liberal to red fascist, but now I've achieved my final form of Xanderhallism. I worry that you were at those places before, but I was once a chud myself, so I understand, brain guy. And welcome to the club. Welcome to the based Xanderhallism club. Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, you definitely, like, this is why I want to do firearms content, because right now, if you want to get into guns, you have to watch, like, dipshit conservative YouTubers do it, you know? I don't know. It's a whole thing. Anyway, I don't want to get too stun-locked on this topic here. Man pepper sprays women. I guess that's just what I'll search.
Who would do
Incel is attacking women with pepper spray, according to police.
such a thing? A man walks up to unsuspecting women and terrorizes them with shouts of insults and much worse. When they ask him to go away, he does the unthinkable, pepper spraying them right in the face. The brazen suspect is identified as Johnny Young. He's 25, and police say he is a self-described woman-hating incel.
The most recent attacks happened here in the upscale community of Costa Mesa, California. Police say he approaches women, alone or in...
Mind you, California, New York, it doesn't matter where you live, there are weirdos everywhere. Just because you live in a blue state or a blue city doesn't mean there aren't very, very red people there.
Groups and verbally assaults them to get attention. All of it on camera. Incredibly, when they defend themselves and fight back, he then claims to be the victim.
These two women experienced the attacks firsthand. Emily, who only wants us to use her first name, was assaulted in this video posted by Young.
When this guy walked up to you, I mean, he got more and more vulgar.
Yes.
And his voice was very scary.
I want to
When she was pepper sprayed, she punched him in the face and bloodied his nose. In another attack, Jessica Estrada raced after Young when he started her.
So let me tell you, if you tell somebody who's approaching you like this, and he's recording, so you'd be off the hook. In their situation, if they were carrying a firearm, here's what they would legally be allowed to do. They would still get taken away in handcuffs, because that's how the system works. no matter how legal the shooting is. But if they were carrying firearms, as he was walking up to them, using what would legally be referred to as fighting words, all recorded by him, all they would have to do is say, "Step away from me now, I don't feel safe. Step away from me now, I don't feel safe." Repeat that 3 times, and if he keeps getting closer, which he seemed to be doing, after, like, it depends on the state, obviously. So don't do this in, like, California, New York, New Jersey, that kind of deal. But, like, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, these are states where this is allowed. I think even Washington, if your life is that threatened, you can. But, like, if they continue to approach you when you are screaming to stay away from you because you don't feel safe, if he then were to proceed to pepper spray these women, at that point, they would be in full legal allowance to pull out their firearm and shoot him dead on the spot. And not allow him to go on and pepper spray more women. But, you know, I honestly feel like we need to encourage more women to carry firearms. We need more guns. We need more women with guns. We need more trans women with guns.
Harassing her girlfriends.
Could you tell he was videotaping you?
No, we didn't know at all.
After she was pepper sprayed, she bravely fought back.
I threw my phone.
Yeah, she chased that guy down. It was funny as shit. She chased that dude fucking down. And she's in high heels. He's in, like, sneakers. Incels can't run. Anyway, I feel that this situation is probably something very similar to what that was. The guy was literally recording it for the sake of, like, incel clicks on some forum or like, right-wing streaming site. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's some online place where this is being done to, like, grow a following or gain validation.
He's literally just walking, and a man
that, or this just happens all the time, and right now it's getting a lot more attention than ever.
came up and punched me in the face. Oh my God, it hurts so bad.
College student Michaela Donato says she was just leaving class in Manhattan.
So I just got punched in the face walking home.
He hit me right on my cheekbone. This doesn't hurt as bad as the concussion does.
She says she didn't see it coming.
You've got some visible signs. You have the black eye, but Michaela, emotionally, how are you feeling?
No, it's been really, really hard. I think it hits me in waves. A lot of crying because it was really, really scary.
The NYPD confirms it is looking into at least 4 similar cases, like the one shared on social media. In one of them, police say a 40-year-old man has been arrested and charged with assault.
I was punched in the head.
Not young people. Interesting. One guy's been arrested for it, and he's 40. So, like, we're not talking about some incel forum full of 15-year-olds, supposedly.
In New York City, in Times Square.
But the police have not linked the cases to the videos. In recent days, dozens of accounts of alleged assault have popped up online. NBC News has not been able to verify.
It's also hard to say because, like, you guys know about, like, the women on TikTok who make ad videos about, like, how over the top they go to, like, lock up their home, or like, just the super paranoid if you see, like, a paper on your car, immediately get in the car and drive away. Do not check for it, otherwise you'll get chloroformed and kidnapped. If like the ones where it's like a woman telling a story where a lady, like, rubbed something on her in, like, a Sam's Club and she started to feel woozy. She says a woman rubbed something on her hand that made her feel woozy, and she, like, stumbled, her words, out to her car and got in and passed out, later realizing she was roofied and was barely able to escape. These are clearly made-up stories that, or we're dealing with people with severe mental illness. I'm inclined to believe made up for clout on TikTok, the most clout-hungry platform that ever clout-hungered. So you have to know that there's, you know, women know how to do makeup. There's going to be some people out there that are making up assault stories for TikTok likes. But I also don't know, like, there's no reason to believe that, like, this torrent of reports came out of nowhere for, like, malicious reasons. It's more believable that these cases have actually happened, you know?
Verified.
Now there might be a lot more fake cases because it's become, like, a thing people are talking about. But from the start, there's clearly a disproportionate increase in this going on, right?
All the videos. The troubling stories surfacing at the same time there has been a rash of violent crimes on the city's busy subways. In response, the National Guard has been brought in to search bags, and 1,000 additional NYPD officers are now riding the trains, too. But the mayor pushing back on the idea that crime is rampant in this city and expressing concerns that social media...
Well, yeah, the Republicans have been celebrating this quite a lot. I think Tim Pool's tweet was probably the most disgusting, but most expected. What was Tim Pool's tweet? Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. I think it's funny that women in NYC are getting punched in the face. It gets even funnier because a couple days later, you can see the gif here, at a protest, someone pulled his beanie off to reveal his bald-ass head. And in a response to people making fun of him for it, he said he wears the beanie for the same reason that Clark Kent wears glasses when he's not Superman. Because he claims that the beanie makes him less recognizable in public, even though he always wears a beanie in everything we've ever seen him in, besides when he's like showing off his bald head in that one photo on 4chan and here where he gets his beanie ripped off. Like, yeah. Anyway, real piece of shit. The conservatives have long weaponized the fact that crime has always been higher in cities compared to the countryside and more rural areas where, you know, the conservatives have kind of made their base. And the fact is, well, conservatives, they like to demonize this as either best case scenario, they'll blame it on poor democratic leadership. Worst case scenario, they just outright say it's because those cities have a higher population of non-white people, which is what they actually believe. Now, the right has, of course, already jumped on this. They have this, like, narrative that New York City has become so weak on crime that murderers and, like, shoplifters and, like, people who steal shit from people's cars are just... The cops don't even go after them. They're just left free to go. You can just murder someone in front of a cop on the sidewalk and the cop won't do a thing. They've heavily pushed this idea that cities are crime-ridden, like burning down cesspools, to a lot of people. Now, a lot of you might remember when during the BLM protests, conservatives were saying that, like, they burned down this city or that, right? You may wonder, like, how do people fall for this? Have they not ever been to a city? Do they really think the cities are burning down? And the fact is, there's a surprising amount of people who have legitimately never left the small town they were born and grew up in. I have a friend who's in my friend group with Ethan, who lives in a small town somewhere in America, I won't say where, who lives within an hour drive, like an hour and a half drive of a major city, and yet has never seen a building taller than 3 stories in his entire life in real life. Cities are a thing he's only seen in movies, video games, pictures, TV shows, etc. He's never seen a city, or frankly even something you would qualify as a town. I've seen his neighborhood, like his town, quote-unquote. In the UK, you'd call it a village. If, like, you lived in Britain, if that town was in Britain, you'd call it a village. That's how small it is. There's, like, a population of a few hundred, and it's all dirt roads, and it's just super rural. And he's not really left further than like 30 minutes outside of that town and has never seen like an actual city before. Now, this may sound like a unique case, but it's really not. It is not that crazy or unique of a case in America. So many people's lived experience is just that. This friend is going to be able to go to is going to be meeting me in Texas when we go to our like big group meetup in May. So it's going to be his first time seeing a proper city is when we go to Houston. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome. Anyway, though, like, a lot of people have lived their lives like that, where they've never even seen a city once in their lives. So what Fox News tells them is happening in these cities is what is happening in these cities in their minds. Just like whatever the media is telling me is happening in Europe or outside of America is how I imagine that place. I've never been there before. I can't pull from my lived experience. So with that in mind, you got to know, like, the right is already jumping on board to both celebrate the fact that women are getting punched in the face in New York City because, you know, they hate women, They especially hate women who live in progressive places. And, yeah. At least 3 face punchers have been arrested. Thank you for the link, Heavy Gretel. You've got some justice, it would seem.
I just got punched in the face walking home.
Tonight, the man accused of that harrowing attack charged with misdemeanor assault after allegedly punching 27-year-old Michaela Tonato in the face this week. That arrest comes a day after 40-year-old Skaboki Stora was charged for this reported assault on 23-year-old Hallie McGuckin.
I was literally just walking, and a man came up and punched me in the face. Oh my God, it hurts so bad.
Stora, a fringe political candidate who once ran for mayor, has an extensive criminal record, police say. And earlier...
He ran for mayor. Dude, that's fucking crazy. Misdemeanor, not a felony. This should be a felony. This is too nice. Well, to be fair, the big thing that New York does wrong is the fact that they don't allow you to have a gun, pretty much. Like, they're super anti-gun there. If she had a gun, she could have shot that guy after he laid hands on her. But now, the worst he gets is getting charged with a misdemeanor because he's going to get away with it, assaulting possibly multiple women.
This week, a third man was charged, accused of punching a 57-year-old woman in the face. The arrests come as dozens of women have taken to social media, sharing stories of allegedly being randomly sucker punched across New York City.
I was punched in the head in New York City.
He goes, sorry, and then punches me in the head.
He spit all over me.
The fact that that guy said sorry and then punched her is what makes me feel like these are incels on some incel forum somewhere doing a rite of passage.
And then
and I bet they're recording it too.
Punched me in the side of the face.
The trend placing many women on high alert.
Makes me feel like a little bit paranoid. It's definitely been scary.
Overall crime in the city is down, but data shows misdemeanor assault.
That is true. That is true. Crime is down in New York City. Crime is down just generally across the country substantially and has been dropping since the 90s. Like the conservatives fear-mongering about crime, they can't pull from data. There are no graphs showing like spiking crime they can point to like they could back in the 80s and the 90s. For like their fear-mongering. Now they have to use stories. They have to use specific anecdotal stories of like crimes happening. And yeah. Out of curiosity, how do you start getting into guns? How do you start getting into guns? That's a pretty broad question. I'll answer it more in depth after my segment ends, Queen Crimson. Hold on to that thought, and please at me and remind me of it in chat after I finish this segment so I can tell you, because I actually would love to tell you guys how to get into guns. That would be great. Yeah, this is genuinely despicable. I'm really curious, like, if you guys think that women who feel they should be armed or are feeling paranoid when they go out in public, if you think they're being paranoid, if you think it's, like, justified caution and concern, or if it's paranoia. Because frankly, I mean, I look behind my shoulder every 15 to 30 seconds when I walk down the street to go to the dispensary, and I live in a nice-ish area, you know? I mean, there's crime, but there's not a lot. So it's just like, I feel it's justified, but I'm curious what people in the comments when this goes out in a video, as a video think. And, you know, I know a lot of people have been jumping onto the train of sort of like maybe overcorrecting a little bit due to TikTok, like crazies, talking about how like everything is a sign you're going to be kidnapped and sex trafficked, you know? And one thing that does suck is that sex trafficking as well is the issue that I think people need to have the most realistic view of. And I recently saw a story about how like there are a lot of women working with like nonprofits that are trying to raise awareness about sex trafficking to like beat the stigma created by movies like Taken that kind of paint sex trafficking and kidnapping as more like this, you know, you get kidnapped off the side of the street and put in a van and you're never seen again type thing, which happens, of course. Everything ever has happened. But more commonly than not, it's like exactly what happened with Andrew Tate. It's the Loverboy method, grooming, getting a woman to fly out to another country, isolating her, taking away her money, her funds, her way of traveling, and getting away from you, and then like forcing her to do sex work or sexually assaulting her habitually. That is overwhelmingly what happens compared to like the movie conception. And so I don't know. I'm curious if people think this is paranoia or if they think it's justified to be like a little freaked out and concerned that like at any moment just walking down the street, they might get punched in the face too.